that all federal employees that were on diversity, equity and inclusion programs be put on administrative leave latest 5 p.m. yesterday, and most of their offices have been ordered to close. Now, he says in his argument that let people be now hired on merit. But then the proponents of the DEI project say that this was actually following merit, but it was helping people that were not being chosen for certain employment because of their color, because of their race and gender. So where does that leave people of color? Where does that leave people of living with disabilities? And these are questions that have not yet been answered. But what we know is that these employees are going to be fired. Many have lost access to their emails. Now, why am I relating this to Africa? I wonder. Most of the DEI projects we have in our countries are funded by countries like the United States. So if they are being closed over in the United States, where does that leave people living with disabilities and others in African countries? Pertinent question for us this morning, but I hope you're having a good morning already. Jerome Paul has taken a minute without telling us it's going to be a beautiful day or it's a beautiful week on Monday. But today is Thursday and we were throwing back. Hopefully you enjoyed the music. That's what we do. We normally take you back in time in times of music, but also we usually have memories from back then that we normally share, and we relive good days past. Well, Jerome Paul, good morning.
Good morning, Olive.
How are you?
I am well, and good morning to our dear viewer. Thursday is here, throwback it is, and well, you've started off on a very good note when it comes to the new administration in the United States of Donald Trump. But however, when you look at Donald Trump's entire foreign policy, it does not put many of the African countries into the good books, if I should say.
That's right.
Why? Because it is more of making America great again, meaning the priorities will definitely be for the United States in the next 4 years. And then also the developments amongst his executive orders, that is withdrawing from the World Health Organization, also does not put the African continent in the best position, because the United States is amongst the biggest funders of the World Health Organization.
Yes.
And the World Health Organization has also been rendering support to many African countries through various health initiatives, meaning, again, we are likely to face it rough. And when it comes to those that have been traveling, also the chances of strict travel or document, especially if I told you an illegal immigrant, there are very many chances of people getting deported, putting so many African families at risk, because we've got so many Africans who have been depending on their loved ones who are working abroad. So you can easily see from there. But again, since it's just his first week, or let's say first few days in office, we'll wait to see how far the 4 years will go. But that said, Olive, yesterday afternoon, Uganda received a bunch of vaccines for the Mpox, totaling up to 1,000 vaccines. And when you look at these vaccines that were brought into the country, they are going to be helping us as a country, because the cases of Mpox are also rising in the country, meaning the European Union, through its fund, helping us with this bit of the vaccine. It is quite helpful in the struggle of putting an end to Mpox here in the country. But then on issues to do with dumping in Kampala, waste management as well, the Minister of State for Kampala City and Metropolitan Affairs, Kabuye Chofatogabye, while addressing the media yesterday at the media center, did note that they are yet to finally get a dumping site, meaning they do not have one as of now. And he further revealed that proposals have been in place to ensure that Kampala City and the Metropolitan finally gets a new dumping site following the incident in Chitezi, but they are yet to finalize on which new place that is. So more developments coming in from waste management and garbage disposal in Kampala do not kind of give us a good start to the year, I should say.
Oh, Joram, that actually discourages me. And look at it this way. The incident in Kitezi took place in August last year, right? Now we're in January and we still do not have plans. Kampala is a big, I like to call it a big trash can. If you go to the areas of Loom Street, William Street, Nakasero area, the place is stinking. Now think about it this way. We are already putting millions of Ugandans' lives at risk by this failure to have a permanent dump site. And I don't know, so what if we get a cholera outbreak?
I'm only hoping it doesn't become so severe, because the chances are we are likely to be getting these diseases, especially diseases rotating around poor garbage disposal, or entirely when you fail to be clean as a country. But then also, Olive, just a quick one, the doses that we received are 10,000, not 1,000 for the mpox vaccine.
Okay, all right, well, that's how we have started our Thursday. I don't like the part where our capital city has to be related to a dump site, but let's call a spade a spade. When you go downtown Kampala, that's what it looks like. And millions of Ugandans go to the streets to, you know, make a buck or two to fend for themselves and their families, but then they have to wrestle and literally skip over trash on the streets. Kampala Capital City Authority, you need to do better, seriously. Chairman Robert, how are you?
I'm fine. Good morning to you, of course, our viewer and the entire team here. Now, when you people were talking about garbage, I think let me just give you the last nail in the coffin. Money needed has not been put even in the budget framework paper. Now,
and we're already underway.
We need
framework paper.
We need 108 billion Uganda shillings. That is going to be used to address these three areas. So when I saw Honorable Kawiyo Kyofatogabiye kind of purporting that they already have the money, but actually they have just failed to find a place, saying every place we want a place that has no issues. So that is what we are waiting for. Now look at this money, how it was broken down. They need 108 billion shillings, of which 14 billion to compensate households affected by Chitezi landfill collapse. Now here there is also a problem. The people in Chitezi are saying, instead of you building for us houses of 73 billion and 93 billion. 73 billion, those are 2 rooms. 93 billion, those are 3 rooms. And taking us to a place called Dundu, give us money.
Where is Dundu?
Well, I'm yet to find out the actual location of Dundu. But also these houses, they are going to be, they'll buy them eventually. Because they are going to be like renting them, giving money to government. After a period of time, these houses become their houses. Now, those affected are saying, no, give us money. If you give me that 73 million, if you give me that 93 million, I'll look for a place. I may even leave Kampala and go very far, buy maybe an acre and put those 2 rooms and start another life. But this issue of you're buying land, you're building for us, at the end of the day, again, we are kind of renting. Remember, they're not compensating those that were tenants. They are compensating the landlords, those that owned these houses.
So help me understand. I lose a house because the people that were supposed to plan and know better failed at their job. But now you're building me a house and I'm supposed to be paying for it over time so that I own it again?
Yes.
Make that make sense.
That is what it is. The math may not math up, but that is what it is.
Wow.
Now there we need 14 billion. And that money is nowhere. We need a 45.6 billion for buying land in Impigi. Now, this is the land that the Honorable Minister is talking about, saying they have not yet identified land. But when you look at the monies that were put as different ministries, government agencies are meeting the committee. Now, this money was planned if it is given, but as of now, it's not yet there. Then they need a 30 billion to decommission Chitezi landfill. Now, even the previous executive director and the deputy director said they had fronted this, but no money was availed. But also this decommissioning, I don't understand it very well. 30 billion. Maybe there's some science, very complicated science involved there to decommission. 30 billion seems maybe quite a big figure. So this money has not been availed to them. And yesterday I was watching the chairman, Presidential Affairs Committee, Alex Biarugaba, before the Committee of Parliament on Budget. And he was like, but then how do you expect things to move? You're complaining of garbage. Here is a budget, what we think we need this money, and the money for budget, even for garbage collection, has not been provided in the coming budget unless a miracle happens. So it's like, how are we going to move forward? Then Chofatogabye tells you now we are not dumping. He said we are collecting and storing.
Where are we storing? Because Kampala City
they tried to ask him where we are storing this garbage, but the Honorable Minister didn't reveal where it's being stored. He kept on saying it is not public information. But right now, we are collecting garbage and storing it somewhere. When we get a dumping site, then we shall remove it from where we are storing it and take it to that dumping.
Well, Robert, I think where they're storing the garbage is very clear. It's on the streets of Kampala.
There is a place the Minister didn't reveal.
If you're not removing the garbage from the streets, well, it leaves a little to be desired. But anyway, probably we'll need to have a conversation with Kampala Capital City Authority on these developments. But for now, let's look into the news.
And we'll begin with the parish development model has continued to register progress, with the latest success story being that of Buwara Tolo Sifa in Namutumba district. She partook of the parish development model that has made her dairy farming dream a reality. President Museveni, who witnessed this milestone, sees Ugandan population on course to end poverty. When Buwara Tolo Fisa almost gave up on her dream of owning a dairy farm, the unexpected happened. The parish development model came her way. Today, she's a successful dairy farmer, operating and living in Karamira village in Namutumba district. The success has been made possible with the support of her husband. The dairy farming couple has not succeeded without challenges. Pasture transportation, limited land for expansion, and additional number of cows are some of the challenges. With Boots, Buwara could become like Michael Kaziwe, a retired teacher. He embraced the 4-acre model to give up on the stereotype that teachers are poor people. Operating on 4.5 acres, Kaziwe has moved from 1 calf to 22 cows, 11 of which have been sold. This is the kind of mindset change the president talks about the architect of wealth creation wants to see among many Ugandans. Despite some challenges, leaders attest that it is all possible. The parish development model was launched in early 2022 in Kibuku district, calling for assessment that the president is now conducting.
Well, away from that, the Prime Minister, Robin Anabanja, has directed the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to study proposals from several countries that have expressed interest in processing garbage into valuable products. Nabanja made the directive during a meeting between Jospong, a Ghanaian company that has also expressed interest following the Chitezi landfill disaster that left 34 people dead and hundreds displaced. The Ghanaian company Jospong yesterday tabled a proposal of $250 million, approximately 900 billion Ugandan shillings, to set up a garbage processing plant in Uganda.
The Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, visited the Algerian Navy and Air Force headquarters as part of his official visit to Algeria. General Muhoozi was welcomed by the respective commanders of both branches of the Algerian military, who briefed him on their capabilities and discussed potential areas of cooperation. Accompanied by senior UPDF military officers, General Muhoozi is in Algeria for bilateral military discussions with his counterpart. Upon arrival, he met Genocide Chanegera, the Algerian Minister of National Defense Delegate, and Chief of Staff of the People's National Army. The two generals focused on preparation for the upcoming signing of the comprehensive Memorandum of Understanding between UPDF and the Algerian Army, aimed at strengthening military cooperation and bilateral relations. Later, General Muhoozi visited the Algerian Navy headquarters and received briefings on the Air Force's capabilities and the Navy's role in securing Algeria's territorial waters. In a gesture of goodwill, General Saidi hosted a luncheon in honor of General Muhoozi, underscoring the importance of fostering strong military relationships between nations. General Kainerugaba delegation included Major General James Birungi, Chief of Defense Intelligence and Security, Major General Bob Ogiki, Joint Staff Policy and Strategy, and Major General Keith Katunji, 5th Division Infantry Commander.
And lastly, from local news this morning, we ended up with the Banyarwanda Cultural Development Association, which is threatening to take government of Uganda to the East African Court for denying them citizenship by birth. This follows their meeting with the president on Tuesday, where President Museveni insisted that any Rwandese in Uganda after 1946, when boundaries were being made, is not a Ugandan citizen. Now, the constitution only recognizes Kinyarwanda-speaking people from the districts of Chisoro, Ntungamo, and Mpororo. And according to the association chairpersons, Rwandans are everywhere in Uganda.
Well, now we take a look at the international news, where Western officials have told the BBC that North Korean troops have already suffered nearly 40% casualties in the fighting in Russia's Western Kursk region in just 3 months. The officials who spoke on grounds of anonymity said that out of the estimated 11,000 troops sent from North Korea, known as Democratic People's Republic of Korea, 4,000 were battle casualties. That term comprises those killed, wounded, missing, or captured. Of the 4,000, the officials said around 1,000 are believed to have been killed by mid-January. These losses, if confirmed, are unsustainable by the North Koreans. It is not clear whether wounded are being treated, nor even when and to what extent they will be replaced. But the figures point to an extraordinarily high cost being incurred by President Vladimir Putin's ally akin, Kim Jong-un, as he seeks to help him evict Ukrainian forces from Russia ahead of any possible ceasefire negotiations later in the year. Ukraine launched a lightning thrust into the Russian oblast of Kursk last August, taking Russian border guards by surprise. The government in Kyiv made it clear at the time that it had no intention of holding on to the territory seized, merely to use it as a bargaining chip in future peace negotiations. Now moving on, the United States military has started to send 1,500 active duty troops to the country's southern border with Mexico as part of President Donald Trump's long-promised crackdown on immigration. The White House confirmed the troop movement on Wednesday, though the full details of the order have yet to be released. Officials told U.S. media that service members involved included 500 Marines. They are not expected to conduct law enforcement duties as part of their role at the border. The troop deployment was widely expected as immigration had been a hallmark of Trump's campaign for a second term. Shortly after he was sworn in on Monday, the Republican leader signed an executive order declaring a national emergency at the border, repeating some of the heated rhetoric he had delivered on the campaign trail. America's sovereignty is under attack, the executive order said. This invasion has caused widespread chaos and suffering in our country over the last 4 years. The order included provisions for the deployment of armed forces to support the activities of the Secretary of Homeland Security in obtaining operational control of the southern border. And lastly, 3 junta-ruled countries in Africa's Sahel region will join forces to create a 5,000-strong unit to fight the jihadist violence that has for years plagued the nation's, officials said on Tuesday. Burkina Faso, Niger and Mali will create a unified force within weeks, Niger's defense minister said. The 3 nations are former French colonies where the military deposed civilian administrations in patches between 2020 and 2023. Following the coups, the 3 countries distanced themselves from France and last year formed a confederation, the Alliance of Sahel States. In this common space, our forces will be able to intervene together, Niger Defense Minister Salifo Modi said in a televised interview, adding that the 5,000-strong force was nearly ready. This unified force will not only have its own personnel, but aerial, ground and intelligence means and a coordination system, he said, adding that it should be operational within weeks. Taken together, the 3 countries are sprawled over an area of some 2 million square kilometers, which is about 1.1 million square miles, roughly 4 times the size of France in Africa's northwest. Well, it seems like the 3 gentlemen are pulling strings and pulling harder. Let's have a look at our press review.
Well, here in Uganda, the New Vision is writing something about the Uganda Revenue Authority, which has slapped a new tax on agreements and work contracts. Now, the beneficiaries, the defaulters, face a 2 million shillings penalty or 6 months in jail. That is for job contracts or job agreements. Now, Anglican Church, Inspire Africa, set for a partnership. That report is also with today's New Vision. Then Busoga urged to increase household incomes. At the front page is the president during his tour of PDM in the Busoga region. Then also find more details about court ordering Luasa to pay 848 million Ugandan shillings. Why is that so? Details in the New Vision. Now also the New Vision writes government deletes over 4,000 from January payroll. Why is that so? More crisis within the public sector. Now, Dr. Love on Man City manager's divorce. Find details on how it impacted Pep Guardiola. Then away from the New Vision, we look at the Daily Monitor. Kidney patients paying the price, writes the Monitor. They are paying. The delays to functionalize the kidney transplant cancer, coupled with the high cost of treating the kidney disease, have left patients between a harrowing lifestyle and death. Now you can easily see the Human Organ Act. President Museveni signed the Uganda Human Organ Donation and Transplant Act in March 2023. Also in between the lines, the amount of money required for kidney transplant abroad is 120 million Ugandan shillings, with 50 million shillings required for transplant at Mulago. Now, estimated number of people affected by kidney disease in the country is 3.2 million currently, and then amount of money for the kidney transplant council requires for benchmarking is 5 billion shillings. And that is not only for benchmarking, but training and financing the activities of this very council. And then Mulago charges 150,000 Ugandan shillings per diocese session, a subsidized rate given the standard cost, which is 365,000 shillings. Now, also Chirudu Hospital charges 60,000, while Rubaga Hospital charges 300,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, in the other news, the girl who ran away from home to become a nun. There is a report on that in the Daily Monitor. And then in matters DM today, she set out to find me a wife, but became the one. You can find details there in the Daily Monitor. And then 2 named in the race to replace Bishop Tamale. The West Buganda Nominations Committee has finally selected 2 candidates to compete for the office of the bishop. Now, gold worth 11 trillion shillings exported without permits, according to findings in business here. Then also in the news, Uganda is uniquely beautiful, Museveni tells the Emirates team. And then in Kenya, the Daily Nation, femicide A 34-member task force has been formed to combat the rising cases across the country because there are a number of women killed in 21 days. At the front page of the Daily Nation, they are close to 8 faces of women that have been killed in the last 21 days in Kenya. Now, there is a probe of 150 million Kenyan shillings bonus Ruto gave cane farmers and Kalonzo charges. Then Omanyala's golden year, big sponsorships, big end cars and a dream home for the athlete. Now, Muturi's cabinet intrigues. Now, the fallout, the Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi, who on Tuesday skipped a cabinet meeting chaired by President William Ruto in Kakamega, has not been to his ministry office for the past 10 days. Amid reports he was no longer welcome at State House. Then tragedy, you have forsaken us. Isiolo residents cry out as wildfire devastate pastures. Then in matters health, relief as supply of vital vaccines restored at last. With a 3-week vaccine stock out with the distribution of at least 2.3 million. Now Kenyans are a little bit having some hope in the health sector. Now lastly, from our press review, the Citizen newspaper from Tanzania, what Samia told new CMO amid Marburg virus outbreak threat. And then national currency, new banknotes to take effect on February 1st in Tanzania as Lissu era begins. The election of Tundu Lissu as the new chairman of Chadema, Tanzania's main opposition party, signals a significant turning point for both the party and the country's political landscape. And of course, he did defeat Mbowe in that bit of the election. Now, U.S. exit from Paris Agreement sparks climate concerns. And then also how reskilling tech are set to work as a revolution of the workforce. Now, frequent power cuts frustrate Zanzibar residents, which sums up our press review this Thursday.
Now, today in history, we do remember the former governor of Bank of Uganda, Emmanuel Tumsime Mutebire, who died on this day in 2022. The former governor of the Bank of Uganda, Professor Emmanuel Tumsime Mutebire, died at a hospital in Nairobi in January 2022. He was 72 years old. Mutebire was admitted to the hospital after he collapsed due to complications related to diabetes. Mutebire, a seasoned professional economist, had served as governor and chairperson of the board of directors of the Bank of Uganda since 2001. We remember him and we say that may his soul continue to rest in eternal peace. Now let's take a short break. We'll leave you with the inspiration song of the day.
Live.
This is Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show that kickstarts your day with all the necessary updates all across the world and also back here at home in Uganda. We are coming to you live from Nile Avenue. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and like always, I'm with the fantastic two, Joram Paul Sonko and Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. Now, you know when they say that when the West sneezes, Africa catches a cold, I don't know if the same is going to happen for us. You see, in the United States, Donald Trump ordered that all federal employees that were on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs be put on administrative leave latest 5 p.m. yesterday, and most of their offices have been ordered to close. Now, he says in his argument that let people be now hired on merit. But then the proponents of the DEI project say that this was actually following merit, but it was helping people that were not being chosen for certain employment because of their color, because of their race and gender. So where does that leave people of color? Where does that leave people of living with disabilities? And these are questions that have not yet been answered. But what we know is that these employees are going to be fired. Many have lost access to their emails. Now, why am I relating this to Africa? I wonder. Most of the DEI projects we have in our countries are funded by countries like the United States. So if they are being closed over in the United States, where does that leave people living with disabilities and others in African countries? Pertinent question for us this morning, but I hope you're having a good morning already. Jerome Paul has taken a minute without telling us it's going to be a beautiful day or it's a beautiful week on Monday. But today is Thursday and we were throwing back. Hopefully you enjoyed the music. That's what we do. We normally take you back in time in times of music, but also we usually have memories from back then that we normally share and we relive good days past. Well, Jerome Paul, good morning.
Good morning, Olive.
How are you?
I am well, and good morning to our dear viewer. Thursday is here, throwback it is, and well, you've started off on a very good note when it comes to the new administration in the United States of Donald Trump. But however, when you look at Donald Trump's entire foreign policy, it does not put many of the African countries into the good books, if I should say.
That's right.
Why? Because it is more of making America great again, meaning the priorities will definitely be for the United States in the next 4 years. And then also the developments amongst his executive orders, that is withdrawing from the World Health Organization, also does not put the African continent in the best position, because the United States is amongst the biggest funders of the World Health Organization.
Yes.
And the World Health Organization has also been rendering support to many African countries through various health initiatives, meaning, again, we are likely to face it rough. And when it comes to those that have been traveling, also the chances of strict travel or especially if I told you an illegal immigrant, there are very many chances of people getting deported, putting so many African families at risk, because we've got so many Africans who have been depending on their loved ones who are working abroad. So you can easily see from there. But again, since it's just his first week, or let's say first few days in office, we'll wait to see how far the 4 years will go. But that said, Olive, yesterday afternoon, Uganda received a bunch of vaccines for the Mpox, totaling up to 1,000 vaccines. And when you look at these vaccines that were brought into the country, they're going to be helping us as a country, because the cases of Mpox are also rising in the country, meaning the European Union, through its fund, helping us.
I thought I was one of your friends.
You are!
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do?
My parish, my development, my life.